Before I get started, Rotaract, where you at? Make some noise, Rotaract. Everyone else, I want you to give a round of applause and welcome Rotaract to this. Round of applause. I'm here to talk about membership. Make membership memorable. Make membership memorable. Or as I like to say it, make M&Ms. As you can see, I have a large jar of M&Ms. Raise your hand if you're familiar with M&Ms. Raise your hand. All right. Raise your hand if you like M&Ms. All right. It looks like a few of these M&Ms are missing. Raise your hand if you ate some of these M&Ms. If I shake your hand later and you have chocolate on your hands, I'm going to know it's you. I heard DGEs and Rotaractors are always hungry. But since you didn't steal my M&Ms, I need you to keep an eye on these for me, all right? Make membership memorable. Make M&Ms. Membership is the most important aspect of Rotary. Without great membership, we do not have great clubs. Without great clubs, we cannot support the foundation and all of our service projects. Anything of quality within Rotary requires quality membership, so membership is the most important aspect of Rotary. Just as important is the fact that we need to change our approach to membership. Holger has said that in recent years we have failed in our efforts to grow Rotary, and we need to change our approach to membership. He asks us not to grow for growth's sake. Instead, he asks us to be intentional and purposeful with adding and sustaining membership. To continue to impact our communities locally and globally, we must focus on healthy membership. Thus, membership must be core to your message. Make membership memorable. Make M&Ms. I'm not sure how many of you make candy, but making M&Ms is difficult. As DGs and leaders of Rotaract, you will run into barriers in 4 areas. Lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, and status quo. Those 4. The first barrier making M&Ms is lack of connection. You are physically not with the clubs week after week, District Governor-elects. You may not be with them on service projects. You may not have a connection with many of the members. So, how do you make membership memorable if you lack a connection to each member of a club? The second barrier in making M&Ms is lack of time. You have limited time to work with the clubs. If you visit each of the clubs, often your travel time will exceed the amount of time you spend with the clubs directly. You'll have a brief talk at a club meeting, discussion with the board, and then you're gone. So how do you make membership memorable with the lack of time? The third barrier in making M&Ms is information overload. There are so many important aspects to Rotary. Just counting areas of focus and strategic objectives, there are 10 different topics. So how do you make membership memorable when there is Rotary information overload? The last one, 4. The fourth barrier in making M&Ms is the status quo. Raise your hand if you've had an impact from status quo in Rotary. There's a lot more hands that should be up right now. If you only play by the rules set by tradition or your predecessors, your ability to adapt to the current needs of your district may prove difficult. Innovation is necessary for progress. So how do you make membership memorable when innovation feels limited by the status quo? These are all very, very good questions. Somehow you have to make membership memorable. Somehow you have to make M&Ms. But you have 4 barriers to make M&Ms. Lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, status quo. To prove this point, I'd like to recreate a district governor club visit here on stage. I'm going to go off stage and come back out and give a club visit speech. Okay? As I go off stage, I want you to imagine that you're a regular member of a club. Imagine you're not district governor-elects or leaders of Rotaract. Imagine you do not have a leadership role. Imagine you just joined the club a year ago. When I come back out on stage, I need you to give me a round of applause as if it were the first time that I walked on stage. Make sense? Make sense? All right, come on out. Yeah, introduce me again. Remember, you have 4 barriers to making membership memorable: lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, and status quo.
Demos la bienvenida al escenario con un aplauso a su gobernador de distrito, Jason Browne.
Good day, everyone. I'm your district governor. Rotary, Rotary, Rotary. 4-way test. Leadership. Rotary, Rotary, Rotary. President's goals. My goals. Your club's goals. Areas of focus, 1 through 6. Polio. Membership is very important. Thanks. See you later, everybody. Did we have a connection? Did we make membership memorable? We definitely did not make M&Ms. No. Did I just take 2 precious minutes of my talk to have fun and make a point? Yeah, I did. Is someone stealing my M&Ms? I knew it. Would it be more beneficial for some of your visits to be done via conference call? Maybe. During that performance, I did not make anything memorable, especially membership. All 4 barriers of making M&Ms were present: lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, status quo. With these barriers, how are you to make M&Ms? Let's ask my grandfather. My grandfather would have been a great Rotarian. My grandfather made M&Ms. Mr. Nelson, my grandfather, was never a Rotarian. But he did inspire membership in the Club of Nelson. He did. Mr. Nelson grew up in a predominantly Southern African American town in the U.S. His family had little money, quality education was scarce, racism was abundant, there were a lack of opportunities, and there was a lack of community. Despite these barriers, Mr. Nelson was able to get a college education and found ways to bring the community together. He formed Clubs of Nelson to bring that community together. When he became the principal of multiple schools, he created Club of Nelson, a team of teachers and leaders. When he became a leader of national education associations, the local church, national professional fraternities, he created Clubs of Nelson, teams of national and community leaders. When he led efforts to install local sanitation and water systems, just like we do in Rotary, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of government officials and policymakers. To collaboratively and positively impact the community, Mr. Nelson worked to foster memorable membership in the Club of Nelson. In reality, the Club of Nelson never really existed. But it felt like the Club of Nelson existed to those he worked with, the members, and the community. Mr. Nelson made M&Ms. Mr. Nelson made membership memorable. He is the reason why I became a Rotarian, and he was never a Rotarian in the first place. He passed away 9 years ago, but the Club of Nelsons are still today living his legacy. The barriers mentioned before, lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, and status quo did not apply to Mr. Nelson. Why? How? Lack of connection barrier had little effect because the people in the community knew him closely and knew him personally. Mr. Nelson was involved and engaged. The lack of time barrier had little effect over his 80 years in the community because he patiently created clubs of Nelson. He created quality teams. The information overload barrier had little effect because Mr. Nelson understood what and when issues needed to be addressed and communicated. He was focused. The status quo barrier had little effect because Mr. Nelson adapted, innovated, and operated without fear. Mr. Nelson created change and did not wait for it. He was fearless and he was innovative. Mr. Nelson made M&Ms. He made membership memorable. He was involved and engaged. He created quality teams. He was focused, and he was fearless and innovative. So how do district governors use the Mr. Nelson technique? First, you got to figure out which clubs need the most attention based on the scope of need of that need. Create a plan to stay involved, engaged before, during, and after your year as DG to make M&Ms. Second, create a quality team. Once you know the level of support your district requires, you can build the right team to provide that support. You are the face of the team. Everyone's going to see you. You're here this weekend. But the rest of your team will afford you the time to make M&Ms. Third, help the club stay focused on what is relevant to their club. Each club will require slightly different resources, and helping them stay focused is key. Matching and customizing the resources to the need of the clubs will allow the clubs themselves to make M&Ms. And last but not least, number 4, be fearless and innovative. Take risks. During and after your club visits, create an environment where sharing ideas is common and encouraged. To this point, early on in my Rotary career, I was fortunate enough to be part of a team that was allowed to take a few Rotary risks. Years ago, a few friends and I came up with the greatest Rotary idea ever. Oh, we thought so. Our idea eventually reached Jennifer Jones, an RI director at the time. Jennifer took a chance on what became known as Rolling with Rotary. Over the preceding 2 years, Jennifer helped us to be people of action and create a mobile pep rally that raised awareness across the United States through news and social media. Jennifer was fearless and innovative. Jennifer made membership memorable. She made M&Ms. In your districts, create a dialogue on innovation and actively listen. You can make those same M&Ms. Create a district where experimenting with innovative ideas is expected. Work to create success, but then be okay with failure. And encourage clubs and the entire district to be fearless and innovative to make M&Ms and membership memorable. Create quality teams. Stay involved and engaged. Help clubs stay focused. Be fearless and innovative. And you will make M&Ms. And you'd make Mr. Nelson smile. I wonder what else M&Ms can do, though. I wonder what else these things can do. M&Ms, I bet they can also open opportunities. What if Mr. Nelson were alive today making a difference in the community? And what if there were not any Rotary clubs in his town? Right? One option is that Mr. Nelson could create a new Rotary club, but it's not that easy. How would Mr. Nelson know how to create a Rotary club? More importantly, how would he know why to create a Rotary club? There are no Rotarians to help. Holger stated it is the DG's responsibility to seek out and find new clubs. The team you create should seek out communities with and without Rotary clubs and investigate the potential of a new club. If there's no one else looking for these opportunities, we may miss some of the most important ways to make membership memorable. How else could it open up opportunities? Well, now imagine if Mr. Nelson was a young professional in a town with a Rotary club. He's not in Rotary. He's just in a town with a Rotary club. He's an entrepreneur with a great network of professional contacts. He volunteers with local charities. He is very cool with a lot of cool friends. Now imagine a group of Rotarians asking him to join Rotary. How many people think Mr. Nelson's going to join this Rotary Club? For many reasons, Mr. Nelson may not want to join a Rotary Club or create his own club, right? In this case, Rotary could simply partner with Mr. Nelson. Instead of only asking people to be in Rotary, we need to ask them to work with Rotary. There are champions and leaders in every community. It took us long enough to recognize the leaders in Rotaract. Let's not make the same mistake twice in our own communities. Encourage clubs to connect with local leaders and influencers to make membership memorable. It will be difficult to make M&Ms. The barriers are significant. Lack of connection, lack of time, information overload, status quo. To overcome them, you will need to use the Mr. Nelson techniques, be involved and engaged throughout the year, build the right team, stay focused on the needs of your club, and encourage risk-taking and innovation. Lastly, you will have to seek out the formation of new clubs and the opportunities to partner with non-Rotary community leaders. Yes, it will be difficult to make M&Ms. At least you can eat a few of them along the way. But before I go, please raise your hand up like you're holding an M&M. Turn on the lights. I want to see everybody. Turn on the lights for me. Everybody raise your hand up like you're holding up an M&M. Like you're this close to ending polio. And I'm going to capture this picture because I want to make sure that I have evidence that everybody has their hands up. Okay? All right, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. There you go, there you go, there you go. All right, now. Keep them up. Y'all not done. Now, imagine you are holding an M&M. It is smooth. It has weight. Imagine each M&M in this big jar represents the Rotary members in your districts. I know your arms are getting tired, so hold up. That's fine. Each time we do not make membership memorable, we will lose M&Ms. We will lose members each time we do not focus on making membership memorable. We will lose members to other organizations or leaders that do make membership memorable. Holger asks us to be intentional and purposeful with adding and sustaining membership. What? And it is in your hands to make that happen. Take this M&M with you throughout the year to make membership memorable. Cheers. Thank you.